Over 60, 3 vegetables you should never touch, and 3 you must. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're tuning in right now, take a moment to really focus for the next few minutes. What's coming up could genuinely transform how you eat, how you feel, and frankly, how your body performs over the next decade and well into the future. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Vegetables are vegetables. They're all good for you. Eat your greens, right? That's what many of us were told growing up. Finish your plate, eat your veggies, and you'll be healthy. And for most of your life, that advice was largely correct. But here's something crucial that often gets missed, something observed firsthand in years of working with older adults. Once you reach your 60s and beyond, your body undergoes profound changes. These shifts can sometimes be invisible until a problem arises. Your gut starts to work differently. Hormone levels shift. Metabolism slows. Your kidneys filter blood at a different pace. Joints endure more stress, and your cardiovascular system carries decades of use. Because of these changes, certain vegetables that are perfectly fine for a younger person can actually begin to work against you once you're over 60. It's not that these vegetables are inherently bad, but rather that your body's biology at this stage responds to them in a completely unique way. Conversely, other vegetables become incredibly beneficial, almost like medicine. They specifically target the biological processes that naturally start to slow down or weaken after 60. These superfoods can help fight inflammation, protect your heart, support your brain, strengthen your bones, and assist your body in functions it might be struggling with. These are the vegetables you absolutely want to include in your diet every single week. So, today, we're going to explore both sides of this equation. We'll cover 3 vegetables you should approach with caution, or in some cases, completely avoid once you're over 60. And then, we'll dive into 3 vegetables that genuinely every person in this age group should be eating regularly. We'll break down the science behind it all, making sure it truly makes sense, so you understand exactly what's happening in your body and why these choices are so important. Let's get started. Before we get to the specific foods, let's establish some crucial context. Understanding why these recommendations matter will help them stick far better than just memorizing a list. After 60, a major shift in your body is a dramatic increase in what's known as systemic inflammation. This isn't the swelling you get from twisting an ankle, that's acute inflammation, your immune system working as it should. Instead, we're talking about chronic, low-grade inflammation that subtly simmers daily, slowly damaging tissues, arteries, joints, and brain cells. Researchers now call this inflammaging, a blend of inflammation and aging. It's connected to nearly every significant chronic disease affecting older adults, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, arthritis, and even certain cancers. Simultaneously, your digestive system becomes more sensitive and less efficient. Your gut lining thins, beneficial bacteria in your microbiome decrease, and enzyme production slows. This means foods your gut handled easily years ago might now cause bloating, gas, discomfort, or even issues like nutrient malabsorption. Your kidneys also need extra consideration. Kidney function naturally declines after 60. This is crucial because some vegetables contain high levels of compounds like oxalates or potassium. A younger, fully functioning kidney can process these without issue, but an older kidney may struggle. This can lead to kidney stones, elevated blood potassium, affecting heart rhythm, and other complications that can develop silently. Then there's the interaction between vegetables and medications. Many people over 60 take prescription medications, and certain vegetables contain compounds that can interfere with how these drugs work. This isn't a minor concern. It can alter how much of a medication is active in your system, potentially reducing its effectiveness or increasing side effects. The purpose of sharing all this isn't to alarm you, but to empower you with the knowledge to make smart, informed choices at the grocery store and in your kitchen. All right, let's talk about the vegetables to be cautious about. The first vegetable on our caution list is often hailed as a superfood in the health community, and for many people, it truly is. However, for those over 60, it comes with significant considerations you need to be aware of. We're talking about raw spinach. Now, spinach is undeniably nutrient-dense, packed with iron, folate, vitamin K, and antioxidants. There's no disputing its general health benefits, but raw spinach is one of the plant kingdom's highest sources of oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plants. In moderate amounts, for most people, they're not an issue. Your body can process and excrete them. However, as kidney function naturally declines with age, your efficiency in eliminating oxalates decreases. This is key. Oxalates bind to calcium in your digestive tract and kidneys, forming calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals are the main component of kidney stones. Older adults are far more susceptible to developing kidney stones than younger individuals. If you've ever experienced one, you know it's something you definitely want to avoid again. If not, trust that it's an intensely painful experience. The concerns don't end with kidney stones. Oxalates can also accumulate in other body tissues, including your joints, which is especially problematic if you're already managing arthritis or joint inflammation. Furthermore, emerging research suggests that high oxalate intake might impact thyroid function and hinder the absorption of vital nutrients like calcium and magnesium, two minerals absolutely critical for bone health in older adults. Here's the essential takeaway. Cooking spinach significantly reduces its oxalate content. When you steam or sauté it, a substantial amount of oxalates leach out. Plus, the volume shrinks dramatically, meaning you naturally consume less. So, the issue isn't spinach itself, but rather consuming large quantities of it raw, especially if you enjoy daily green smoothies packed with multiple handfuls of raw spinach. That's where the risk escalates. The recommendation is straightforward. If you enjoy spinach and want to keep it in your diet, which is perfectly fine, always cook it first. A quick sauté in olive oil with garlic is both delicious and drastically lowers oxalate levels. If you have a history of kidney issues or kidney stones, it's wise to discuss your oxalate intake specifically with your healthcare provider. The second vegetable to discuss might genuinely surprise you, and it often sparks initial questions. We're talking about raw cruciferous vegetables, specifically things like raw kale, raw Brussels sprouts, raw broccoli, and raw cauliflower, especially when eaten in large amounts. To be very clear, cruciferous vegetables are among the most nutritionally potent foods on the planet. The research on their cancer-fighting abilities alone is remarkable. They contain glucosinolates, which convert into powerful anti-cancer molecules in your body. They are rich in fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. The advice is absolutely not to stop eating broccoli. The point is that consuming large quantities of these vegetables raw can create specific issues for people over 60. Here's why. Cruciferous vegetables contain goitrogens. These compounds can interfere with thyroid function by blocking iodine uptake, which your thyroid gland needs to produce its hormones. For a healthy younger person consuming reasonable amounts, this usually isn't a major concern. However, thyroid function naturally declines with age. Hypothyroidism, an underactive thyroid, becomes increasingly prevalent after 60, particularly among women. Many older adults are already on thyroid medication or are borderline hypothyroid without realizing it. Eating large amounts of raw cruciferous vegetables on top of an already compromised thyroid can exacerbate a problem that silently impacts your energy levels, metabolism, weight, mood, brain function, and cardiovascular health. Since your thyroid is the master regulator of your metabolism, when it's not functioning correctly, almost every other system in your body can suffer. Furthermore, raw cruciferous vegetables contain a type of fiber that, while beneficial in moderation, can be very harsh on a digestive system already slowing with age. The bloating, gas, and discomfort many older adults feel after eating raw broccoli or kale aren't just minor annoyances. They're indicators that your gut is struggling to process something, and chronic digestive stress has its own, ripple effects on overall health and nutrient absorption. Again, cooking offers the solution. When you steam, roast, or stir-fry cruciferous vegetables, the heat deactivates a significant portion of the goitrogenic compounds. The fiber also becomes much more digestible. Plus, roasted broccoli or Brussels sprouts are incredibly delicious. So don't eliminate these wonderful vegetables. Just make cooking them a regular habit and be mindful of consuming large raw quantities. Now for the third vegetable on our caution list. This one is especially relevant for a particular group of people over 60, but it's a large enough group that it deserves careful consideration. The vegetable is raw tomatoes, and more broadly, the category of nightshade vegetables, which includes bell peppers, eggplant, and white potatoes. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant known for heart health benefits and a link to reduced prostate cancer risk. We're not dismissing these advantages. However, raw tomatoes and other nightshades contain compounds called alkaloids, with solanine being a prominent example. These alkaloids are part of the plant's natural defense against pests, and for most healthy individuals, they cause no problems. Yet for people over 60 who contend with inflammatory conditions, especially arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or other joint issues, there's growing evidence and significant clinical observation suggesting that nightshade alkaloids can aggravate inflammation and intensify joint pain in sensitive individuals. Not everyone is sensitive, it's a personal reaction, but the number of older adults who react negatively to nightshades is substantial enough to warrant attention. The alkaloids in nightshades can irritate the gut lining, contribute to intestinal permeability, sometimes called leaky gut, and in sensitive individuals provoke an inflammatory immune response, appearing as increased joint pain, stiffness, and swelling. If you're managing arthritis or an inflammatory joint condition, and you consume many tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant without symptom improvement. Despite other efforts, consider an experiment. Remove nightshades from your diet for 4 to 6 weeks and closely observe how you feel. Moreover, raw tomatoes are high in histamine and can trigger histamine reactions in people experiencing age-related decreases in diamine oxidase, the enzyme that breaks down histamine in the gut. This can manifest as headaches, skin flushing, nasal congestion, and fatigue, symptoms many older adults attribute to simply aging, when the actual cause might be right on their plate. One more point about tomatoes. Their acidity can aggravate acid reflux and GERD, conditions that become more common as the lower esophageal sphincter weakens with age. If you're among the millions experiencing heartburn or acid reflux, raw tomatoes could be worsening your symptoms significantly. Cooking tomatoes actually increases their lycopene availability, so you're not losing benefits by cooking, you're enhancing them. A slow-cooked tomato sauce, roasted tomatoes, or a tomato-based soup all offer the goodness of tomatoes while reducing alkaloid content and, for most, alleviating the acid problem. All right, now we move to the most exciting part, discussing the vegetables that are not just safe for you over 60, but actively work in your favor. These are the vegetables that specifically target the biological vulnerabilities associated with aging. These are the ones to prioritize, so pay close attention to this section because the science behind them is truly remarkable. The first vegetable we'll discuss has been used medicinally for thousands of years, and modern science now offers extraordinary evidence to support its benefits. That vegetable is garlic. While some might not technically consider it a vegetable in the traditional sense, it absolutely is, and it belongs at the top of any list of foods specifically beneficial for those over 60. Here's why. Garlic contains a compound called allicin, which is formed when garlic is crushed or chopped, allowing the enzyme allinase to interact with alliin. Allicin is one of the most potent naturally occurring antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and cardiovascular protective compounds known to us. The research on what allicin and other sulfur compounds in garlic do for your cardiovascular system is nothing short of extraordinary. Numerous large-scale studies show that regular garlic consumption can significantly reduce blood pressure, especially in individuals with hypertension, a common and dangerous condition affecting adults over 60. We're talking about reductions comparable to some blood pressure medications, but without the side effects. It lowers LDL, the bad cholesterol, while maintaining or even improving HDL, the good cholesterol. It also reduces the tendency of blood platelets to clump, lowering the risk of clots that can cause heart attacks and strokes. But here's something particularly fascinating about garlic for older adults. It possesses powerful prebiotic properties. It nourishes the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome, which, as mentioned, tends to significantly decrease with age. A healthy, diverse gut microbiome is now recognized as being linked to virtually every aspect of your health, including immune function, mental well-being, weight, management, and protection against chronic disease. By regularly consuming garlic, you're essentially nurturing the internal ecosystem that helps your entire body run more smoothly. Garlic also boasts impressive anti-cancer properties, with strong evidence suggesting a reduced risk of stomach and colorectal cancers. Furthermore, growing research points to garlic's neuroprotective effects, indicating it may help safeguard brain cells and lessen the risk of age-related cognitive decline. To maximize garlic's benefits, crush or chop it first, then let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. This allows the enzymatic reaction that produces allicin to fully complete. Adding it toward the end of cooking or consuming some raw, if you can tolerate it, preserves even more of its active compounds. Aim for at least 2 to 3 cloves daily. You can incorporate it into almost anything: soups, sauces, stir-fries, salad dressings, or roasted vegetables. It's one of the most versatile and flavor-packed ingredients in your kitchen, constantly working hard for your health. The second vegetable is one considered perhaps the single most important for bone health in older adults, a non-negotiable in this view. We're talking about bok choy, also known as Chinese cabbage, and more broadly, the family of cooked leafy greens it belongs to, like collard greens, mustard greens, and turnip greens. When most people think of bone health and calcium, dairy immediately comes to mind. Drink your milk, get your calcium, protect your bones. While dairy certainly has its role, bok choy and these cooked leafy greens provide highly bioavailable calcium. This means your body can absorb and utilize it very efficiently, sometimes even more effectively than calcium from dairy. This is immensely important. After 60, as bone density loss dramatically accelerates during this period, particularly for women after menopause, but also significantly for men. Osteoporosis and osteopenia are widespread in the over 60 population. The statistics are sobering. Approximately 1 in 2 women and 1 in 4 men over 50 will experience an osteoporosis-related bone fracture in their remaining lifetime. Hip fractures in older adults are especially devastating, with a significant percentage leading to long-term disability, loss of independence, and a genuinely alarming percentage associated with mortality within the following year. Therefore, protecting your bone density isn't just a cosmetic concern, it's a matter of survival. Bok choy and cooked collard greens offer that highly absorbable calcium. What truly distinguishes them, however, is their vitamin K content. Vitamin K2, specifically, though bok choy provides K1 which your body can partially convert, plays a critical role in directing calcium to its proper place, your bones and teeth. This prevents it from depositing in your arteries, a process called arterial calcification, which contributes to cardiovascular disease. So, these greens simultaneously protect your bones and your heart, a remarkable feat for a single food. These vegetables are also abundant in folate, vitamin C, potassium, and various antioxidant compounds. And because they are cooked rather than raw when consumed in this manner, the digestive issues associated with raw cruciferous vegetables, mentioned earlier, are largely circumvented. Bok choy, especially, is incredibly versatile. You can quickly stir-fry it in sesame oil and garlic, incorporate it into soups and broths, or steam it as a simple side dish. Collard greens are wonderful, slow-cooked with a little olive oil and onion. The key is to make these cooked dark leafy greens a consistent feature of your weekly meals, not just an occasional addition. Now for the third vegetable that every person over 60 should absolutely be eating, and this one is specifically for your brain. One of the greatest fears expressed in this age group, even more than heart disease or cancer, is the fear of losing mental sharpness, of cognitive decline, dementia, or Alzheimer's disease. While no single food can guarantee protection against these conditions, the research on this particular vegetable concerning brain health is among the most compelling and consistent seen in years of studying nutrition science. The vegetable in question is beets, specifically cooked beets and beet greens. Here's what makes beets so remarkable for your brain. Beets are one of the richest dietary sources of nitrates, not the synthetic nitrates in processed meats, but naturally occurring dietary nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a molecule that causes your blood vessels to relax and dilate, significantly improving blood flow throughout your entire body, and most critically, to your brain. As we age, a key factor contributing to cognitive decline is reduced blood flow to the brain. The tiny blood vessels in your brain become stiffer and less responsive. Brain regions vital for memory, executive function, and processing speed start receiving less oxygen and fewer nutrients. This amounts to a slow starvation of your brain cells, quietly affecting millions of older adults right now. Research from